Welcome back to the Balance Boldly podcast. I'm your host, Naketa Ren Thigpen. Always excited to be back with you guys. Whew. We're going to take a breath, get into a certain space, and realize that every transition does not have to be difficult. Today's amazing guest expert, Gül Sönmez, is phenomenal. Her energy is so calming and relaxing already. I'm going to try to not sip and slurp my tea in your ear as we have this conversation because she already has me in relaxed mode all day. So let me introduce you to her so you can also get into this space as well. Gül Sönmez has been working with big multinational companies like P&G, Coca-Cola, and Amazon for over 15 years. After discovering some manifested physical challenges in her body for herself and realizing that her life wasn't quite in alignment with where she was supposed to be, she made big pivots, overcame a lot of anxiety and trauma that was happening in her life, made some serious reinventions of herself, and now in her 6+ figure business as an entrepreneur, she serves clients from all over the world, helping them with her unique transformational energy processes and systems. Gül, welcome to the Balance Boldly podcast. How are you today?
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Such a nice introduction. I was also, wow. Thank you. It really felt good to receive you. I'm really, really well. Thank you. And hi, everyone. Hi, everyone. I'm on the Europe side. So it's really, really nice to be on your podcast. I'm super happy today.
Oh, thank you. You're just glowing. First of all, I know you guys. I know you're sick of hearing me say that. Like, oh, why can't we see her? Why don't you do video? Because sometimes you don't want to be overstimulated, and I know that you guys don't want to be overstimulated. So I get to see the amazing guest, and you just have to tune in and listen deeply. But I get to see her glow right now, and she is fiercely glowing.
Thank you.
You said you had a really amazing day with back-to-back sessions. Tell everyone a little bit about the work that you're doing in the world.
Yeah. So, hi, everyone. I am trying to learn how to introduce myself because I'm actually an intuitive healer, but at the same time, I'm a professional coach. So I combine this kind of intuitive different healing modalities with coaching. And I usually help individuals to get out of their stuck mode. So my niche is transformation and the feeling of I'm stuck at my job, I'm stuck at my marriage, I'm stuck in life. And how can I help you to move through this kind of, I'm stuck kind of energy? This is my niche because I was there, I was stuck. And when you're stuck, you usually manifest some different diseases in your body. So this is my specialty. I usually work with people on one-to-one basis, but I also have a group program where I teach self-healing. And I also work with corporates on mindfulness. So there are a couple of things.
No, this is helpful. For the listeners that are not as familiar with the word manifestation, when it's not related to prosperity, abundance, training, money matters, because, we can manifest a lot of things. Manifestation in and of itself is you truly believing in the possibility, and I'm minimizing it here on purpose, but it's basically boiling down to you truly believing that something can happen, should happen, will happen, and it coming to fruition. So self-fulfilling prophecies, for those of you who have heard terms like that, are sometimes associated with manifesting even the things that are not what you want, but are happening because of stress. What we would consider on the medical side as stress-induced illnesses can literally manifest in your body as actual non-made up. They're not just somatic. They're not in your head. They're actual physical injuries, challenges, or diseases. But I want to be clear that you're not causing it. You're not like, oh, I hate my life, so now my body's breaking down. You're exacerbating things that were already in your genetic code, but now they're coming to the surface because of stress-induced illnesses and other things that are happening when your life is out of alignment with where you're supposed to go. So before I get the emails like, Gül Sönmez came on there and said that you caused your cancer. That is not what she's saying at all.
No.
Do you get that a lot from any of your, prospective clients when people are considering to work with you? Like, are you telling me that I'm creating this? Like, do you get that feedback
Yeah,
sometimes?
I get it a lot because my first client is actually was a kid who had brain tumor, who was just out of brain tumor surgery. And I work with some really heavy diseases. And it's also very hard to say, okay, what is this disease is teaching you? Because in my experience, and I've been doing this healing journey for myself for 10 years now,
Mm-hmm.
all the discomfort, all the disease, all these things are coming for us to realize something. And when we
Yes.
realize, usually, not always, but usually we can heal the pain. And sometimes healing pain is just to go through this disease as well. It's not always like healing means, okay, I'm done and I'm out of it. No, I learned a
Yeah.
lot from this thing.
Yeah.
Because of it, I changed my life. So
Mm-hmm.
I get it a lot. But I always
Yeah.
believe, okay, this is where we are now. We have to look at the root cause so that you can move with it. You can
Yeah,
move with
no,
it.
I appreciate that clarification because in the work that
Yeah.
we do, we hear that a lot. Like, someone told me that I caused this. I'm like, no, no, I don't think that that's what he or she was saying, unless they really were saying that and they need to do some serious self work,
Yeah.
themselves. But the fact that you're helping people see that this, whatever it was, it showed up for a
Yeah.
reason, whether it was exacerbated because they were working 18 hours a day and
Yes.
their bodies were in adrenaline overload and all the things and all the reasons that can come up. It was a message to them for them to receive: slow
Yeah.
down,
Yeah.
rest, recharge. And sometimes we skip that and we just immediately think, oh, I caused, my blood pressure, I caused this issue,
Yeah.
I caused the diabetes. And although there's a lot of correlation between our inactivity or our activities of choice,
Yeah.
it doesn't necessarily mean a causation. So for all of you, before you blow up my DMs, make sure you heard it from Goal first. That's not what she's saying. So what's some of the types of work that you are working with people on? You mentioned the little boy who had the brain tumors.
Yeah.
What kind of work are you doing with some of your clients?
So actually I think because I needed to prove myself to myself when I first started it, my
Yeah.
first clients came with really heavy diseases and they were also working with doctors and etc. So they could see the improvements by the tests that were not done by me. So this is
Mm-hmm.
how I started. I work with tumor, I work with skin diseases, I work with fertility issues, so that it's easy to track if there's healing or not. Because if
Yeah.
you have a skin disease, if you don't have it anymore, so you can really track it. So
Mm-hmm.
this is how I started. But probably that time I was not really sure what I was doing because I didn't start. I didn't want to be a healer. It was my friend's son, and I couldn't say no. I
Ah,
wish to say no. I was like, God, what I'm gonna do here? This is
yeah,
how I
you were in
started.
resistance. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And my
Mm-hmm.
second client came through my friend's friend. So this is how I started. But through the time, I realized that based on everything I do, my niche is actually to go and read the root cause of the stuckness.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm obsessed with self-healing and transformation because my journey didn't change through healing sessions. It changed when I realized we have the power to change our life. It's all about us. So we can
Mm-hmm.
really work on our issues. It's always the internal work. It's never the outside work. Then I shifted to, okay, how your internal story can help you. What is the internal work that you need to do so you can
Yeah.
change external? And this is
Mm-hmm.
why over the years is shifted through more corporate women who are already driven, who already want to change their life, who are committed, but who don't have this idea of, okay, what do I do with the energy? What do I do with the
Mm-hmm.
self healing? What do I do with myself?
Yeah, no, that makes complete sense. So I'm curious, what led you? Because clearly I heard the resistance when you were like, oh, my
Yeah,
friend wanted me to help, right? And how could I say no? But what was going on with you and your history that led you to even discover that you had these intuitive, I will call
yeah.
them hyper healing abilities? I was careful not to say powers because I don't
No,
want it to
no,
sound
no.
like superpowers, but
No.
these abilities. What was happening in your life that made you realize this about yourself so that you could reinvent and reimagine what Gül Sönmez would become
Yeah.
today?
So actually, I wish to say one day I was sitting in a meditation and I heard these beautiful voices and look a bit cooler. No, actually, I was very ignorant. I had nothing to do with healing. I was that time working in Coca-Cola, the brand. I was a marketing manager. I had a totally different life, and I really didn't believe in these things. For me, these things were hoo-hoo. They believe who believes
Yeah.
in these things. I was not one of them. I have all this
Mhm.
education, all this career. This is not my
Mhm.
thing.
Yeah.
But then I start to have some problems with my body, especially my skeleton system. So I had a meniscus disease. Sorry for my pronunciation. Sometimes I cannot pronounce it. So meniscus is like on the knee, you cannot walk properly.
Mhm.
But it started out of nowhere. So I'm not a professional athlete. I don't do anything. I basically walk. That time we didn't understand why I have this. Then on top of it, I start to have problems on my right hand, and one day I
Mhm.
couldn't use the hand, so I had to get a surgery. And before that surgery, one of my friends told me, okay, good, you know what, why don't you try to work with a Reiki healer? And I was like,
Mhm.
no way. No way. I don't believe in these things. But
Mhm.
she was my friend and she said, look, you tried everything. Are you really going to get this surgery without knowing? Because the doctors couldn't find anything in my hand. In
Mhm.
MRIs, I had nothing, but it was blocked. So somehow I
Right.
couldn't use it.
Mhm.
This is how I started actually. I started working with a woman, and she tells all of her students, saying that if Gül did it, anyone can do it. Healing is possible for anyone. Because when she came through this door, she was like, you know what? I have no idea why I'm here. I don't believe in these things. I'm in
Right.
so much pain. Can you help me?
Yeah.
And when she asked me, it is your right side. So do you have an issue with your husband or your father? I slammed her. I'm like, how dare you? My husband is amazing. My father is amazing. I have an amazing life. I have no problems. And she was
Mhm.
like, it is your right hand, your masculine
Right.
energy. Okay. It should be
Right.
either your husband or your father, but it's okay. Let's check. And that time I was in a different marriage. It was my first marriage, and I was very
Mhm.
actually unhappy in my marriage, but I was
Mhm.
ignoring it.
Yeah.
We were just playing the game of ignorance. So I was actually stuck
Yeah.
in a picture perfect situation where I was
Mhm.
actually literally not happy and not
Mhm.
not fulfilled as a woman. But I
Mhm.
was doing everything. I was overworking at my job. I was trying to achieve all the success there in order to get rid of these thoughts that are coming within me. Am I really happy? No, no, no. Work, work, work. Don't look at
Mhm.
those. So this kind of actually, my body kind of pushed me because I said, okay, I need to look what's happening here because I don't want to get another surgery.
Yeah.
This is how I started. But for 5 years, I just worked with myself
Mhm.
rather than others. I was obsessed with this idea of the disease. How can I heal myself? What can I do? How can I manifest the good things in my life? How can I change my life? I was just
Yeah.
reading and learning and reading and learning for myself in
Mhm.
order to change my life. This is how I started.
Yeah. Now, and you hit a lot of good points. So I know there's a handful of people, and I say that, loosely, but there's a handful of people that totally understand metaphysical dimensions of the body, what it means, front of the body, future, back of the body, past, right side masculine, left side feminine, like all the pieces that goes into. But something that you have brought up that was really pivotal is when the Reiki, I think you said it was a Reiki healer that you
Yeah,
were
it was a
meeting with,
regular. Yeah,
for the Reiki healer to just understand metaphysical anatomy and say, up, right side of the body, front, it must be something that's present leading to your future, which in your case was your husband, maybe not also your father. Did you, in order to alleviate the pain, did you have to make some crucial decisions in that
yeah.
relationship to get
Yeah,
rid of the pain?
yeah. The first thing I did actually, I didn't, of course, take immediate action. I worked on myself. That lady really teach me how to do Reiki to myself. She was the one who
Okay.
was forcing me. One day, I had this vision. You're gonna do this work, and I was like, God, this lady's a bit crazy, but she's nice. She's nice. Okay, I go to her course. Okay, I read this book. This is how I started. I was just, I see your visions, but I understand you're very powerful on your visions, but I think it's not me. It's like I have my path. Like I want to be a marketing director. I'm not gonna be
Mhm,
doing this work. It's not me.
mhm,
But she was
mhm.
like very insistent and please read this book, please learn these things for yourself. And now actually I'm very blessed so that I can work with her own sons. I can work with her. Now I'm really blessed. We have this
Nice.
relationship.
Mhm,
She's like a sister to me. But after I went through a big journey to myself, I had to accept, okay, what is wrong in my life? And I had to leave the marriage, of course. And it took
mhm.
me 6 years to heal my heart completely and remarry to my soulmate, to someone that I never thought it could be possible. It took some
Yeah,
work,
yeah.
but now I am, I could say, in a fulfilled relationship. But you never know. The lessons when they come, you never know.
No, I'm not mad. I call them your forever lover. Like when you feel like this is your person, your soulmate is your forever lover. Now, what forever looks like will obviously be predicated on their present behavior, right? Like, and we could be forever if you be respectful and you
Yeah.
maintain my safety and you continue to love me and ignite all the things that you're supposed to ignite from the bedroom all the way through whatever other parts of your life that you play together. So I do agree with you that this could be your forever as long as you both play well together, right?
Yeah, yeah, totally.
Yeah. So I have to ask what I know the listeners are thinking. How's your right hand?
Oh my right, I never get the surgery. It was actually done after I think 3 sessions, so I never used. It's functioning after that time after 3 sessions when I had to just accept my problem. When I did the
Yeah.
realization, it was just dissolved. It was just boom.
No,
I never
I
had
love
a
that.
surgery, and neither my
Yeah.
knee. My knee keeps coming a couple of years, so it's the third time they diagnosed me with a surgery, and third time I get away from it. But every time when I'm not ready to make changes, I cannot move, I'm resisting to
Mm,
change, then my pain starts again. But now we're friends because now we know each other. I'm like, okay, fine, what this time?
yes. And how about that? You made such a good point, Cole. You said, wait a minute, this thing is coming and going, and I'm noticing that my knee is bothering me intermittently when I'm having a hard time going forward with
Yeah,
something, when I'm stuck in a change. So for those of you who are listening, like, wait, the hand, the body, the knee, like what's going on? How do I know? Well, one is to not try to spend 5+ years self-diagnosing yourself and healing
yeah,
yourself the way Gul kind of went through. Although she did have a mentor, is you could work with someone like Gul Sönmez who is aware of metaphysical anatomy and to help you see what's going on with your body, why it's coming up. And then she also has intuitive gifts that she can add to that to help you process and get clarity on what's happening as well. So I'm curious for you, with your new love and your fantastically reinvented life, how are you giving yourself permission to pause?
that's an amazing question. So when I start working with others, first 3 years I didn't give myself any permission to pause because that time I was working full time at Amazon. Okay, full time.
Mm.
And I was doing healing sessions every night until 12, sometimes 1 a.m., then all
Woo!
weekends. I was obsessed with this thing. And
Mm-hmm.
until I left my corporate job, I really didn't stop. Then one day, I found myself in hospital. My immune system, everything crashed out of nowhere. I just crashed. I didn't have energy to even go on one more day. So I had to take a sick leave for 10 good days where all I was hearing was, you have to learn to rest. You have to learn to
Ooh,
rest. After
yeah.
this thing, I really, really learned to give a pause, just to just to balance, just to do nothing, just to
Mm-hmm.
enjoy. So what I'm doing, because I work in very heavy and intimate healing sessions during my day, I need a bit more time in order to cleanse, in order to connect. So I have my daily things that I go to forest every day. I stay in the forest, I just stay with the nature 40 minutes, and every 3 months I try to give one big break without
Yeah.
any work.
No, that's really good. How long do you usually take your break when you can? Is it like 3 days, 5 days, a week?
Um, if I can do it every 3 months, I take 4 or 5 days. Then I'm not.
Nice.
Then I'm back. Then I'm back.
All right. Just make, because I know it's really hard for ambitious women to turn down
Yeah.
their love affair with work, right? But
Yeah.
we want to make sure that work doesn't become the other man or the other woman in our life. We have to be careful because we can get so enthralled with
Yeah.
being in love with what we do and helping so many people that, to your point, you can then become out of balance trying to be in
Yeah.
alignment instead of just allowing yourself to be in
Yeah.
alignment. So I really appreciate that you've seen this from both sides. The side of like, I didn't even know what was going on with me. I'm a normal professional person with a logical brain that did not accept any of this esoteric woo woo stuff, and then got hit with the, ooh, yes, this can be work. This can help. This can heal me, all the way through. Even being a healer, you're human, and sometimes you need human physical
Yeah.
reminders to pay attention to your environment. I can relate to that on multiple
Yeah.
levels. So I really appreciate your transparency with that. So how can people connect with you, Gul, and learn more about how to work with you and what's going on in your world?
Yeah, so the best way to connect with me is to be part of my newsletters because I write them intuitively every week based on the energies of the world, based on what I see in the sessions. I just tune in and I just share what is really working for me or for my clients. Sometimes I share free meditations. I share a lot of books. I'm obsessed with my healing still. And I also take
Mhm.
clients on the way. They always tell me this, like everything I find new about healing is coming because of me. I'm like, I need to solve my past issues with my dad. I need to go and understand what is happening in my epigenetics, why I'm having these problems in my life. Then I find something and I bring it down to work, bring it down to the work that I do with people. And in order to be part of my newsletter, all you need to is go to my website or find me on social media. You can do both. And there's a link to sign for it. My website is purposefulvibes.com, or you can find me Gül Sönmez on LinkedIn or Instagram. You can just reach out from there. It's the best
Yeah.
way to know what I'm doing.
No, this is perfect. Are you also on Twitter too?
I'm not using Twitter now.
We're going to change that in a couple of shakes.
Some visibility issues here. I need to work on it.
No, I love it. I love it. You've been amazing. Thank you so much for staying up late, because I know you're 6+ hours ahead of us over. So it's evening. You've had a really full and productive day. And then you showed up so amazingly and so transparently for all of the listeners. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for having me. It's really, really important, I think, for us to share our voice and show that it's possible. You don't need to be stuck in your drama. You don't need to punish yourself and think, what did I do wrong? What is happening to me? Instead of finding, wow, okay, this is happening to me. What is the gift in it for me? So thanks for this kind of platforms, actually.
No,
Thank you.
I love that. And that wrap up that you just gave is perfect, because sometimes we do punish ourselves, and that's why the self-forgiveness work is so
Yeah.
important, let alone the actual healing that comes after that. So that was a perfect takeaway.
Thank you.
Balance Bowly listeners, thank you again for showing up, for tuning in, for listening. If you are new to the BBP, which is the affectionate acronym we give to the Balance Bowly podcast for ambitious women in business and a few brave men, make sure that you hit the subscribe button so you get notifications whenever a new episode drops. And please, for the love of all that is holy, make sure that you review this podcast and rate it, because it helps with the algorithm across all the podcast apps, no matter where you're listening to this: Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Podcast Addict, all the places that we show up. Wherever your favorite place is, make sure you do a written review and, just be honest. I think we're fantastic, but I don't want to be biased. So just make sure you share what you got. And by all means, make sure that you connect with Gül Sönmez at purposefulvibes.com. I'm sitting here looking at her website and reading her name at the same time. You gotta love multitasking. We enjoyed her so much, and we hope that you follow through with your healing and make sure you connect with someone like Gül, who can help you and serve you to be your best next level self. I'm Naketa Ren Thigpen. In the interim between now and next week, I want you to enjoy the balance of your day, but remember, do it boldly.